Hello and welcome to today's video, which is about multiplying and dividing fractions. So here's multiplying fractions first, step by step. So our example is 1 by 2 multiplied by 1 by 4. So step 1, you look for any situations where you can divide a number on the top and a number on the bottom by the same number. In our example, the numbers on the top are as low as possible. They are 1, so there's nothing to divide. When you can't find any more opportunities to divide the top and bottom by the same numbers, you should multiply the top sideways. 1 times 1 times 1. 1 times 1 over 2, so it's 1 over 2 times 1 over 4. So we go 1 times 1 times equals 1. And then you put the answer on the top of the new fraction. So that's 1 on the top, and then you multiply the bottom numbers sideways. 2 times 4 equals 8, and 8 goes on the bottom, so the answer is 1 by 8. So this is an example where you can divide the top and bottom. You remember last time we had 1 on the top, so you couldn't do it. So we have 5 by 12 times 8 by 15. So we can divide. So we can take the 5 on the top and the 15 on the bottom, and we can divide by 5. And as you can see, 5 on the top becomes 1, the 15 on the bottom divided by 5 becomes 3. And then we can divide by 4. We have 8 on the top, which we can divide by 4, which comes to 2. And we have 12 on the bottom, which we can divide by 4, which comes to 3. And then we can not divide anymore, so we have to multiply sideways. So we have 1 by 2 on the top, 3 by 3 on the bottom. And so the answer is 2 by 9. Sometimes there can be more than 2 fractions. So here we have 2 by 3 times 3 by 10 times 5 by 8. No problem, just follow the same steps. We divide the top and the bottom as many times as you can. So we can divide the top and the bottom by 5. We have 5 on the top, divide that by 5 becomes 1. We have 10 on the bottom, divide that by 5, it becomes 2. And now we have a 2 on the top and a 2 on the bottom, so we can divide both of those and they both become 1. So we end up with 1 by 8. And then we multiply sideways. 1 by 1 by 1 on the top becomes 1. 1 by 1 by 8 on the bottom becomes 8. So 1 by 8 is the answer. Okay, your turn. I want to find the area of a rectangle. One side is half a meter and the other side is a quarter of a meter. What is the area? So we have to change the story into a maths question. The story was that we are trying to calculate the area of something. To calculate the area, you have to multiply the two sides. So we have to multiply one side, which is half a meter, by the other side, which is a quarter of a meter. So half times a quarter is the maths question. Now let's look at the answer. So we have 1 by 2 multiplied by 1 by 4. You multiply sideways across the top. 1 times 1 equals 1. Sideways across the bottom. 2 times 4 equals 8. So the answer is 1 by 8. But 1 by 8 what? We multiplied half a meter by a quarter of a meter. What is the unit of the new fraction 1 by 8? Is it meters? And the answer is no. The result is 1 by 8 square meters, which is written 1 by 8 m with a little 2. Okay, here's another question. The class has 25 students. 1/5 of the students go on a trip to the waterfall. Half of the students who don't go to the waterfall skip school. What fraction of the class skips school? Okay, we know that half the students who didn't go to the waterfall skip school. But that doesn't help us because we don't know what fraction didn't go to the waterfall. So step 1 is to calculate what fraction of the students didn't go to the waterfall. So we call the total of all the students in the class 1. 1 by 5 went to the waterfall. So the calculation is 1 minus 1 by 5. We can convert the 1 into 5 by 5. So it's 5 by 5 minus 1 by 5 equals 4 by 5. So 4 by 5 of the class didn't go to the waterfall. We also know that half the students who didn't go to the waterfall skipped school. So the next calculation is 4 by 5, the number who didn't go, times 1 by 2, the ones who skipped school. So we have 1 by 2 times 4 by 5. Multiply sideways, 1 times 4 equals 4. 2 times 5 equals 10. So we have 4 by 10 is our new fraction. And we can simplify this to 2 by 5. So the answer is 2 by 5. Note that you didn't need to know there were 25 students. New question. Same story as the last one. Different question. What fraction didn't go to the waterfall but didn't skip school? So you're going to need a little bit of time to work on that one. I'm going to go ahead and give you the answer now. So pause the video if you need to. The answer is 2 by 5. How do we know that? There's two ways we know this. To find the fraction who didn't go to the waterfall, we calculated half of 4 by 5. The two halves of the ones who didn't go to the waterfall are the same size. So if 2 by 5 skipped school, 2 by 5 also didn't skip school. So that's one way. The second way is this. We know what fraction skipped school, which is 2 by 5. We know what fraction went to the waterfall, 1 by 5. So we can calculate 1 for the whole class, or 5 by 5, minus 1 by 5 for the waterfall, minus 2 by 5 who skipped, and the answer is 2 by 5. Next one. The teacher has a bag of 60 candies. She gives half to the math class, and then she gives half of the candies still in the bag to the English class. How many are left in the bag when both classes have their candies? So the answer, she starts with 60 candies and gives half to the math class. So 60 over 1 times 1 by 2. You can divide the 60 on the top and the 2 on the bottom, both by 2. Divide the 2 on the bottom by 2, it becomes 1. Divide the 60 on the top by 2, it becomes 30. So we have 30 by 1 on the top equals 30. 1 by 1 on the bottom equals 1. So that equals 30. So she starts with 60. She gives 30 to the math class. So 60 minus 30, she has 30 left. So she has 30 left, and she gives half of those to the English class. So 1 by 2 times 30. Again, you have 2 on the bottom, 30 on the top. They can both be divided by 2. 2 on the bottom divided by 2 equals 1. 30 on the top divided by 2 equals 15. So 15 is the number that she gives to the English class. So she had 30 left after giving the ones to the math class. She gave 15 of those to the English class, and the number she's got left, which is the answer we're after, is 15. Okay, this one is looking at dividing fractions using simple word problems. How many 3/4 cups of coffee can you get from 3/2 cups? So we need to divide the total amount of coffee, which is 3/2 cups, by the number of cups, 3/4 cups. So 3/2 divided by 3/4. That's our maths problem. So we need to turn the fraction that we want to divide by, which is the one after the divide sign, upside down. And at the same time, we need to change it from a divide sign to a multiply sign. So we have 3/2 divided by 3/4. We're going to go through step by step how that converts into the next row, where it's 3/2 divided by 4/3. So step 1, the number before the divide sign, the 3 on the top, stays on the top in the new version. The 2 on the bottom, before the divide sign, stays on the bottom. The 3 on the top, after the divide sign, goes to the bottom on the new one. And the 4 on the bottom, and the old one after the divide sign, goes to the top of the new one. And the sign changes from divide to multiply. So when we've done all that, we end up with 3/4 on the top, 2/3 on the bottom. So we multiply those sideways. 3 times 4 equals 12 on the top. 2 times 3 equals 6 on the bottom. 12 divided by 6, we can simplify that to be 2. Or another way to do that last calculation, we can have 3/2 on the top, 4/3. We can say, okay, we have a 3 on the top and a 3 on the bottom, so we can divide both of those, and in both cases the answer will be 1. We have a 2 on the bottom and a 4 on the top. We can divide by 2, so we divide the bottom one by 2 and it becomes 1. We do divide the 4 on the top by 2 and it becomes 2. So our final fraction is 2/1, which equals 2. Same answer, different way to get there. Okay, here's a slightly harder word problem, dividing fractions. So Nonananu has 1.5 meters of cloth. To make a Karen shirt takes 3/4 of a meter. How many can she make? So we have to convert it from a story to a maths problem. That's the first step. So the maths problem is divide 1.5 meters by 3/4 of a meter. So next step, we change 1.5 to a fraction, which is 3/2. Because 1 is 2/2 and half is 1/2. Add them together, you get 3/2. So the next step, the new problem is 3/2 divided by 3/4. Step 4, we turn the 3/4 upside down and make it a multiply problem. So now we have 3/2 times 4/3 because we changed the 3/4 upside down. And that equals 12/6, which equals 2. Or we could do it all as fractions. We have 3/4 on the top, 2/3 on the bottom. We can divide the 3 on the top and the 3 on the bottom both by 3, and both times it will give us 1. We can divide the 4 on the top and the 2 on the bottom by 2, and on the bottom the 2 divided by 2 will be 1. On the top the 4 divided by 2 will be 2. And And so we have 1 times 2 equals 2, and that is our answer. So now we have a slightly harder word problem. Sautet has 3 packets of candies. Each packet has 10 candies, so a total of 30 candies. He wants to give half a packet to his friends. How many friends can he give half a packet to? So the first problem is to convert this out of a story into a math problem. So he has 3 packets and he wants to give half a packet to his friends. So the math problem is 3 divided by half. So step 1, you make both numbers into fractions. So we have 3 by 1, which was 3, and we have 1 by 2. 3 by 1 divided by 1 by 2. Step 2, you turn the number you're dividing by, the one after the sign, upside down, and you change the sign from divide to multiply. So we get 3 by 1 multiplied by 2 by 1. And that will give us an answer of 6. Notice that this question has some information that you don't need to solve the problem. Can you show what things you didn't need to know? I'll give you a moment to look at that one. And now I'm going to head with the answer. And the answer was that each packet had 10 candies, also that the total was 30 candies. Doesn't help you at all. You never used those numbers in your calculations. And this is sometimes teachers do this. They add extra unneeded information like this just to confuse the students. So watch out for that one. And now a slightly harder word problem. So Lulusay bought half a kilo of sticky rice. He wants to give it to 4 friends. How much will each friend get? So the first thing we have to do is to convert the story from a story into a math problem. We have 2 pieces of information. There's half a kilo of rice, and he wants to give it to 4 friends. So what are we going to do? Are we going to add or minus or multiply or divide? Well, it's about sharing. So usually that means it's divide. So the math problem is half a kilo, divided by 4 friends. Okay, step 1, we change the 4 into 4 by 1. And step 2, we turn the 4 by 1 upside down and change the sign from divide to multiply. So we end up with 1 by 2 times 1 by 4. We multiply sideways on the top. 1 times 1 equals 1. So that's 1 on the top of our answer. And sideways on the bottom, 2 times 4. So that's 8 on the bottom of our answer. So the answer is 1 by 8 kilos for each friend. Another harder word problem. 5 adults have to move some cement into a container that will hold 52.5 kilos. The adults can carry 2.5 kilos of cement in one trip. How many trips altogether, total number, will they need to make to fill the container? So the simple math problem converted from the story is 52.5, the total amount that the container will hold, divided by 2.5, which is the amount that each person can carry on one trip. So step one, we make them all into fractions. So 52.5 into a fraction, you have to take the 52 and make it into the number of halves, which is 104 halves, plus the half, so it becomes 105 over 2, divided by 2.5, which becomes 5 over 2. So we end up with 105 divided by 5 on the top and 2 on the bottom. We have to convert that into from a division to a multiply. So we change the sign from to divide to multiply. We change the 5 over 2 into 2 over 5. So we end up with 105 over 2 multiplied by 2 over 5. We have a 2 on the top and a 2 on the bottom, so we can divide those both by 2, and they both become 1. We have a 5 on the bottom and 105 on the top, so we can divide both of those by 5. The 5 on the bottom becomes 1. The 105 on the top becomes 21. So our answer is going to be 21. In other words, the total number of trips for the people carrying the stuff to fill the container is going to be 21 trips. Now, one extra thing here. This question also had information that you don't need. Can you identify what it is? I'm going to give you a moment, and it's not going to appear on screen. Okay, and the answer is, it tells you how many people. It tells you 5 people. You don't ever use that in your calculations because it's not asking you how many trips each person will have to make. It's just asking you the total number of trips. So we're just about finished. So this is the end, my friend. See you again next time.